Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today I don't want to waste any more time in the intro because we have a lot of ground to cover. Today we take a closer look at Zondision's ZIMO1. That's the screen in the back here. That's a glassless 3D monitor and it's really working great. But as said, don't lose any more time in the intro. We take a closer look at some gaming sessions, at some productive sessions, and where you can use and benefit from a 3D monitor without glasses. But now let's jump into some games. And for that we use their own Zimohub, where you can start games with the needed attributes or modifications. Not 100% sure what they do to make this 3D effect work in those existing games, but you need that Zimohub to make it possible. And that's a quite intuitive and I would say quite well designed app here. You can see here LFD games. This is where all your games live that are fully compatible with the ZIMO1 and where you will have great experience in 3D. Of course, you need to own the game on Steam, so it is linked with your Steam account. It scans your computer if you want to have all your games in that Zimohub, so don't worry, and you will see when they are here listed under My Games, they will be recognized and will be supported if they have these little icons here like LFD and so on. Then you can experience it in great 3D. So I would say let's just do that with Little Nightmares 2. So while the game is starting, let's talk about the tech of that whole screen a little bit. We have a 4K display that works with a refresh rate of 60 Hz. We have eye tracking going on here. So for best 3D experience, so you don't have to sit still in one sweet spot, this monitor uses some cameras to track your eyes and optimize the image according to your position in the room. So that means you don't have to sit right at your desk or right in the middle of the desk. You can move around, and I will show you that. That's one of the few effects I can show you in 2D. It's so sad that you can't experience all of those great 3D features because it really works great. You have to believe me. So I can't just only describe what I'm seeing here. And here we are right in the menu of Little Nightmares 2. And call me weird, but I always loved in VR when you have the 3D depth of a 3D room and some text at your screen so you can look through the text. So you have this real depth. It's just some experience you don't have in the real world because, yeah, this kind of layer just floats in the air, or it feels like you're really looking through a window where on the window you have that text and behind that there's this whole gaming world waiting for you to explore, and that's what we do. And here we are right in the game, and it's really some amazing stuff. You can believe me, everything just is, it's like I can grab into the gaming world. So this is some real haptics, some real depth happening here. And it doesn't matter if I'm sitting here or here, I can move around here. You will probably or hopefully see this on the other camera, that something is happening on the screen, because as said, the screen is adjusting the images displayed in real time to my eyes. And with 120 Hz, that's quite a high refresh rate for some eye tracking. And it really is seamless. So I have really no crosstalk. That's what's called when those two, because of course you need two images, one for each eye. And if they don't overlap perfectly, that's what we call crosstalk. And it can be experienced as some kind of interference between those two images. And it's not happening here at all. I mean, I really need to move fast, then I can break the image, but beside of that, if I move normally as I would while sitting here and having a game session, nothing is really destroying that image. And this is some really impressive stuff here, because this was always a problem in the past. Beside of that, it's really cool. Oh, here, this is some completely different experience as you would experience it on a 2D screen. When you ever tried VR, this is pretty close to that experience, because otherwise you're not used to this clarity in those 3D images beside of this generation of VR headsets. Also those camera moves pretty smooth, there's no ghosting happening. Beside of all the 3D images, also the image of that screen is quite nice, because we have some really deep blacks. Could also be because of that glossy finish of that screen, because that also this pushes also the depths, the blacks of the image. Here's something funny happening in the background, because games are made for 2D screens. Haha. And here you can see the whole environment is in 3D because it's built out of geometry. But the background here, those wooden blankets in the background, are not really geometry. These are just painted. This is something you do in 3D design because not everything has to be fully 3D. And you don't realize that on the 2D screen. But as soon as you start it up in a virtual reality world or on a monitor like this, you see clearly where are the real 3D elements and how they behave in the room and stuff like that. So this gets apparent really fast, and this gets creepy really fast. Great game. Maybe you think I'm showing you only Little Nightmares 2 because this is a game where not a lot of action is happening. Let's jump right into SIFU, a really fast and action-packed game with fast movement. So let's just do that and experience that beautiful world in full 3D. And it's the cool thing about this technology. You may think you can only play slow games, but no, let me tell you, it's absolutely great playing fast-paced action games on this screen. So motion sickness can be a problem for some people, but that's a very subjective thing, and sadly you have to find on your own. So there's no way that I can tell you if you will be compatible with this kind of technology. I can tell you it's real. Some people here in the office can't look at the screen for too long because this thing messes with your brain a little bit because it's not natural. But it can also be trained. So maybe the motion sickness will disappear with time. But if you are not, I can assure you, you will have a great time with this display because it is really, not short on anything. It's a really fluid experience, and the 3D effect is holding up really well. So even in this fast game, I can't see anything that's disturbing my gaming experience here beside of my skill issues. As I was talking earlier, the chimneys in the background, same thing. On a 2D screen, you will probably won't realize or recognize that these chimneys are on the same plane level as the mountain behind. So this is something you just realize when you're watching it in real 3D, in VR or something like that. And really immersive experience to just walk through this world. But the cool thing is you don't have to wait until a game comes to Zondision's own hub. You can also try out some of the many OpenXR or OpenVR compatible, so it means SteamVR games or natively games that use SteamVR to experience with the ZIMO1. And as you can see here, I have my 3D experience. Controls, of course, can be a problem because sometimes you need some controllers, some additional, but as you can see maybe on camera here, we have also something like a hand where we can interact with the environment. But whatever, I just wanted to tell you out there that it is possible to play to OpenVR and OpenXR games with the ZIMO1. And that's awesome. And Zondision also told us that we have to try out the first Berserker Kazan. I hope the game name is correct, but they were not wrong because this is not just an ultra difficult game. It's also a really well working game, and you can see the tech at an unseen level so far in my testing, because all those games before, SIFU, Little Nightmare, you just watch. It's like you're looking at a window where you look into it. But here they use also the possibility that something can stick out of the frame. So all that snow that is hopefully visible in the video that is flying around, it really feels like it's flying right into my face. This is a really cool effect, and I'm looking forward to see what else they got in their toolbox here. But it's looking great and feeling great. But it's a very slow start, so let's wish me luck that I don't die on the first enemy. And also here they did a great job in separating all those UI elements. Because of that effect, I can imagine that it can easily, more effects, come to some problems because we have those particles that are closer to me. Then we have the UI that sits directly on my screen, it feels like it is a window you're looking through. And then you have all the depth of the image of the game world. So also pretty cool, flawless port so far, I can see, or modification, it's not a port. That effect is so cool that You can have some bullet time here, particles flying everywhere. Woo! Particles always look quite cool in 3D and in virtual reality environments. And here, yeah, really great stuff. I wonder, will they also pop out? Oh, yeah, I think the set buffer, or however they do it, I have no idea, I'm just throwing around words. But the particles from the sword right now are coming out of the screen for me. So yeah, very cool. And also all the menus, when you're in the inventory system or something like that, super crisp. I'm really impressed by the sharpness of the display, because sometimes, especially in VR, when we are used to not that high resolutions, even more a problem of the past, but still, most of the time, it suffers from the sharpness you are used from your 4K screen. I mean, you can see clearly this is not some 4K sharpness, but yeah, everything feels very sharp and is not only feels, it is very sharp. So it's a really nice layer on top. That's cool. And another cool thing is that they also included a Gaussian splatting demo where you can experience real-world objects in a quite detailed manner. And way more important than the technique itself, which I won't explain because it's too technical for this video, is that they are working on a service and trying to get that ready, but it's not promised, to have a service that turns your images into living, breathing, three-dimensional, okay, not living, breathing, but three-dimensional images that you can explore with the ZIMO1, which is a pretty cool feature, as you can see here, and I'm still very starstruck by all this sharpness and yeah, just depthness of that screen. This is some classic Gaussian splatting stuff here. You see how I can move around and the image, it holds up perfectly. It's some really great stuff here. Oh, also classic. Maybe let's show you. Oh, wrong key. But maybe you think all of those 3D effects only work in a full screen environment. No, I also see the head here in 3D. So the possibilities are really funny if you think about it, because you could have a normal 2D window and then you have some elements just in your UI that uses that 3D effect. So I see some great use cases out there, I would say. But let's switch back to full screen. Oh, this is also fully 360. Great stuff here. Well, that's an interesting one. But as I said earlier, common technique to make 3D scans of just some drone recordings. Fly over somewhere and you can easily get images like that. And to look at those images, they also developed their 3D renderer. There you can just load three-dimensional images, watch movies, take a look at those 3D images I showed you earlier. Also, you can load a wide set of different 3D file formats. So if you have 3D models or if you are into 3D modeling, you can here now experience all of those models in beautiful 3D. This is some amazing stuff, because right now, this is really, in my vision, that model is floating above my keyboard and it moves slightly when I move my head. So I can, that's amazing stuff, because I can watch around corners with the repositioning of my head. So this whole model is reacting to my head movement. So you can see it moves in the background while I move my head, and that's some amazing stuff. I wonder if they also try or have on their roadmap some 3D tracking of your hands, because I think it would be possible if you have two cameras and not track, yeah, the eyes, but also the hands, then I could move it like this, like you model in virtual reality is one of the stuff I really also love about virtual reality, to work with 3D models there, and you have really this, this real feeling that you work with something. You can rotate it with your hands, you can make it bigger, smaller, and stuff like that. This is some really great stuff here. And you can also see it recognizes here where I'm coming too close, and he slices the image so the image doesn't fall apart because my head or my eyes are too close to that image. You see, you get here a clean cut. That would be not the case exactly if I just block the camera. Yeah, everything goes back to 2T. It even detects that. I hope it's visible somehow. When I block the cameras, it slowly moves back to a classic 3D, 2D image on my screen. And as soon as I unblock it, wow, perfectly fine and nice 3D. It's so cool. I can see inside of that entrance there. That's so cool. All the details, it is really crisp. I mean, I know that this should be half of 4K resolution. So we have a 4K screen as stated earlier, but for a 3D to work, you just have to reduce the vertical resolution in my understanding of the technology. So it shouldn't be that sharp as it is right now. So I'm really surprised how detailed that model looks right here. And this is really amazing. I mean, I'm not sure if this really boosts my productivity when I'm working with 3D, but just to get a feeling of your model, this is amazing. This is a game changer. But look at something. Let's take a look at something else. And what really is a productivity booster, they also made their 3D Renderer Pro, which is aiming at collaboration in the 3D space. So you can start like a normal Zoom meeting and have this 3D model taking place in that meeting. And maybe you can already see it. My cursor can be used to navigate through that 3D model in the third dimension. So it's not a two-dimensional cursor. It really snaps to the surface of the 3D model. So for example, I mean, oh my God, what's happening now? For example, I hope it's visible when we talk about that little tower here. I can point here with my cursor and everybody knows what tower we are talking about and what detail in this 3D model we are talking about in this meeting. And as soon as I move outside of the 3D model, it is a basic 2D cursor, as you can see, where we can switch between shading methods and stuff like that. And it's acting in 2D. And here you can see the speakers. Right now I'm alone in this call, of course, but it's really great if you are working together on a 3D model or have a 3D project. These days it's so easy to make a 3D model of a plaza or a place like this. Just do a little bit of a drone flyover and you can have a model like this, and you can discuss, for example, changes to the infrastructure, really interactive. So this is a really cool idea here, but this will also be a paid feature. So this is not something that you will be receiving with the monitor, with the screen itself. This software will be sold separately. So this has nothing to do specifically with the screen. Of course, you can utilize it the most with the screen, but it's a separate piece of software. So if you're wondering why the cursor is moving that much, this is because I rotate the camera with my head movement, so the cursor stays in the 3D space on the same position, but it snaps to the surface of the 3D model. So this is why it snaps on different positions and angles. So don't get irritated. I'm sure they will work on that feature in the future. But what already works, we can, for example, make some measurements here in the 3D model. So let's find out how far away are these two walls, and we have a line, and we see on the top of the screen the measurement. And it doesn't end there, because we can also make annotations like with a pen in 3D space. Pretty cool. I'm sure some Blender lovers out there will feel right at home with something like that. So if we talk about that window, everything should be clear what we are talking right now. And it is in the space, in the 3D space. So this is also something pretty cool and funny. And I'm looking forward to what else they will include in this software. And then the 3D renderer has one more card up its sleeve, because you can make theoretically every window to a 3D window. I mean, of course, normal windows will just float in the 3D space and can be used for, your entertainment purpose or for your calming or whatever it makes with you to see an object fly in the 3D space. But the cool power here is unleashed if you work with a 3D software like Blender or 3D Max, where you can configure the viewport accordingly, so it will use a technique that is renderable by that screen. So I'm not just looking at a flat image right now. I see my little iPad here in fully 3D, and the stuff is flying around. And the cube right now is close to my face. It's insane. It's very funny. But of course, the whole menus here, you just have them on a 2D plane. So it's not something awkward, like everything is floating anywhere. It's just the viewport that is 3D and which I can manipulate as normal as I would when it would work in 2D. And of course, you're not restricted to Blender in any way, because these days close to every 3D software out there supports some stereoscopic viewport options. Also, as you can see here in the open CAD Assist software everybody can download, you find some stereoscopic options here that you just need them to, where is it, select the right mode side by side, and then you open the 3D renderer, select the window, the right stereoscopic mode, and then you can just click go and the whole 3D renderer will take over, and then you will see your model in 3D and can work like I showed you just a second ago in Blender, in CAD Assist or whatever. But in CAD Assist, I'm not that firm. I think I really could talk for another hour about the ZIMO1 from Zondision, because there are many more use cases, and also they have more demos like I showed you in that video already. And yeah, it's like a never-ending story, because you have a lot of use cases for a screen like that. And he really delivers that even now, because we are having here a pre-production model that is not final. Also, the software is not final, but it's insane. And I'm really looking forward for the release in August. If you want to find out more about the ZIMO1, check out the description below. There you find also the link to their Kickstarter campaign, where you can get that one for a really good pre-order price. I would call it Kickstarter, you know the game. But of course, all the links down there. If you have more questions about that, just drop us a comment. And if you like that video as much as I like that screen, give us a thumbs up, follow the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell button so we can see each other next time. And so long, I wish you a perfectly beautiful 3D time, and I say bye-bye.